The contrast in texture between the fluffy layer of slightly sweet cream cheese and the salty caramel, which is sweeter and crunchy, is astonishing in this cheesecake. What I love even more is that it's a no-bake recipe, meaning no need to use the oven today. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Robert and today we're making a salted caramel cheesecake. This recipe will yield a cheesecake with a 20 cm diameter weighing approximately 2 kg. Let's get to work. For the crust, in a large bowl, I've melted 150 grams of butter using a double boiler. For this cheesecake crust, we're using Oreo biscuits. What's great about Oreos is that they now produce a finely ground powder from leftovers. Be careful though, there's also a crunchy version with larger bits, which are too coarse for what we're making today. Grab a 300 gram bag of Oreo biscuit powder. Mix the butter thoroughly with the biscuit powder until fully combined, then put it into a 20 cm springform pan lined with parchment paper. This makes it easy to remove the cheesecake later. First, shape the edges of the crust. I like to make them slightly thicker to avoid struggling with the base later. Once the edges are formed, spread the rest of the mixture to create the base. I thin the outer walls slightly to ensure there's enough mixture for the base. I use a small saucepan with a flat bottom to compact the base and press the walls evenly. Put the tray in the fridge while moving on to the next step. For the salted caramel, start by roasting 120 grams of nuts. I used equal parts pistachios, hazelnuts and walnuts. Roast them at 150 Celsius with fan for about 10 minutes until lightly golden. Meanwhile, in a larger pot, melt 200 grams of sugar with 10 grams of salt. Since we're making salt caramel, the salt goes in now, not because it will melt with the sugar, but to avoid forgetting it later. Melt the sugar over very low heat to prevent burning and use a heat-resistant silicone spatula. Once the sugar is fully melted, add 70 grams of soft room temperature butter. After the butter is incorporated, add 70 grams of heavy cream, also warm, not cold, to avoid curdling. Be careful here as it will release a lot of steam. Mix until smooth and set aside. The nuts should be roasted by now. Chop them into medium-sized pieces, neither too large nor too small, depending on how you want them to appear in the final product. Before combining the nuts with the caramel, reserve about 2 teaspoons of caramel in a piping bag for decoration later. Mix the nuts into the caramel, then spread this mixture over the cheesecake crust as the first layer. Level it out and refrigerate to firm it up slightly. Once the caramel has set a bit, prepare the first chocolate layer by melting 100 grams of dark chocolate, 10 grams of oil and 25 grams of milk in a small saucepan using a double boiler. Pour this over the caramel, level it and refrigerate again until the chocolate sets. Now to prepare the cream cheese layer, in a bowl mix 400 grams of fine curd cheese, 130 grams of sour cream and a splash of vanilla extract until smooth. To avoid lumps, hydrate 7 grams of gelatin in 35 grams of water separately, then mix a small amount of the cream cheese mixture into the gelatin before combining it in the rest. Work quickly as the gelatin sets fast. If lumps form, you can gently reheat the mixture over a double boiler to dissolve the gelatin, about 30-40 degrees Celsius. After this, cool the mixture slightly before continuing. Next, add 130 grams of melted white chocolate. Mix a small amount of the cheese mixture with the chocolate first, then combine everything. Finally, fold in 200 grams of whipped cream, whipped to medium peaks. This will aerate the mixture, giving it a light and fluffy texture. Pour this layer over the chocolate, ensuring the chocolate layer has set first. After the cream cheese layer sets, make a second chocolate layer using the same method. 100 grams of chocolate, 10 grams of oil and 25 grams of milk, melted over a double boiler. Pour this on top, level it and decorate with chopped pistachios, hazelnuts and a drizzle of the reserved caramel in a crisscross pattern. You can get creative with the decorations here. To easily remove the cheesecake from the pan, use a blowtorch to warm the edges slightly. If you don't have one, warm a cloth in hot water and wrap it around the pan to soften the butter and release the crust. If the caramel for decoration hardens too much, immerse the piping bag in warm water to soften it. Here's the final product. If you need to transport the cheesecake, secure it to the cardboard base with a dab of melted chocolate to prevent sliding. Otherwise, it might shift and get damaged during transport. That's it, time to slice and enjoy. Bye! For more recipes like this, don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel, and follow me on Instagram for plenty of useful tips.